Now, a cabinet minister has warned that society is under threat from what she called a militant secularisation. Lady Warsi, a Muslim peer, is in Rome on an official visit to the Pope. And just days after the High Court ruled local councils couldn't hold prayers during meetings, she's used a speech to the Vatican to speak out about the sidelining of religion in public life. Lady Warsi has the Prime Minister's support, but does she have the support of the religions on whose behalf she's spoken? Paraic O'Brien has this.
A rabbi, an imam and a priest walk into a bar. No, seriously, they do. They're here to talk about whether it's getting easier or harder to practice their respective faiths in modern Britain.
Do you feel threatened by what the Baroness calls militant secularism?
Absolutely not. I think that there is an element of sensationalism about it. Yes, there are certain pressures today brought on young people, but I don't think it's militant, and to say that it's militant almost would intimate that it's organised and there's someone sitting somewhere in a corner, I don't know where, and he's now, drawing the battle lines. I think that part is a little bit too sensationalist for me.
The priest that leads prayers at the House of Commons disagrees and gives examples of how her parishioners feel persecuted.
We are aware of many people who, when they make applications for grants, are told quite clearly that because they are a religious organization, that they don't fit the criteria.
If secular fundamentalists go out of their way to exclude faith from public life, faith from institutions, faith from accessing grants and services, or influencing policy making for tomorrow, I have a problem with that.
I personally do not feel threatened, but there is a sense, there is a perception, as we keep hearing about these regular court cases, etc., and people being suspended from their work because they've put a Christian symbol in their car or
yeah,
where...
But they're just headlines, though. And
there may be headlines, but behind the headlines there is a story.
I'm more exercised and more worried about militant Islam than I am about militant so-called secularists. Okay, I'm more worried about getting blown up in the underground in London, okay, or anywhere else, than somebody who expresses an opinion. An opinion, okay, something which is challenging. And I think we need to see this as a challenge. We do not have the monopoly on people's hearts or their minds.
Rabbi, what do you say to an organization, a Muslim organization or Christian organization that applies to central government for funding and is turned down because it's a religious organization? That's my problem. Government should not be turning down an application.
That's not a secular issue.
No, that is, because the policymakers were militant.
How do you know? How do you know that? You see, there, I think you are making the problem a lot larger than it really is. People are entitled to their opinions. If they exclude you and you have absolute proof that it's because of your faith, then I would be standing with you to fight that.
So, time, ladies and gentlemen, nail your colours to the mast. Is it in fact getting more or less difficult to practice your faith in modern Britain?
I certainly don't find any difficulty at all. On the contrary, I feel comfortable as a Jew in this country, and I think many of my congregation would echo the same view.
I think if it's getting harder, it's partly to do with the fact that we lack the confidence to stand up and say, we belong to God, we have faith, and we are very proud to be people of faith.
Same question to you. Is it becoming harder or easier for you to practice your faith?
For me to practice Islam in Britain, it's very easy. In fact, it's probably the best place to practice my faith. I say to many people, and quite controversially, that Britain is more Islamic than most Muslim countries. It allows the space, the freedom, and of course, it protects all its citizens equally.
That begs the question, what are you complaining about?
I'm complaining about the lack of opportunities for all people equally to interact and be involved in policy making and influencing.
So that is something we can all agree on, that it actually, relatively speaking, is easy to practice faith in this country.
Easier.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
We've got cross-faith consensus on that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely.